Hi, it's David Griffin, Low Country Pioneer Solutions, your business growth consultant and social media marketing specialist. Today, I want to share with you how to get more time, money, and freedom without increasing labor costs in 6 months to a year with the 3 profit generating secrets I'm about to share with you right now. The 3 profit generating secrets are profit secret number 1, focus on the profits. Yes, understand first that not all advertising is equal. Some will gain you better results than others. Number 2, revenue and profits are not the same. And if you're a small business owner, you've seen your revenue increase, but your profits maybe remain stagnant. Number 3, begin with the end in mind. Know what your overall objective is and begin there first. Then the 80-20 rule. Always remember that 80% of your results will come from 20% of your efforts. And then tactic versus strategy. Understand that a tactic is what you do and your strategy is how you do it. Understanding that is critical for success. Now, the secret number 2, which is the use of the growth multiplier effect, is one that's going to take the most of my time, so just bear with me for a moment. The multiplier effect is the very thing I use to ensure that my clients are not just focusing on one area of their business. Now, most business owners, they will attempt to double their number of clients, their new leads, they increase their prices to generate more profits, especially when they're in an industry that is sensitive to natural forces or governmental regulation. Using the growth multiplier is a much easier way to maintain ethical and reasonable and acceptable growth over a period of time without disrupting your current relationships with your clients or overtaxing your employees or adding greater expenses or increasing your risk when you go to increase or pursue more customers. What I want you to see now is that we are going to increase just by 10% for particular areas of every business. Now, we could increase this more than 10%, but I like whole numbers, and especially once you see how small incremental changes can have such a massive effect when it's spread out in a balanced way over your business whole. The 4 areas we're going to most commonly talk about today are the total number of new customer leads that a business gets, the total number of leads that are converted into buying customers, the total number of transactions per customer, and the total of each transaction per those customers. Now, let's say you get 100 leads per month. That's 1,200 for the year. Then you get 2 conversions out of every 10 sales presentations. And you currently are getting, out of those 2 customers that you've converted, they buy from you, let's say 4 times a year. And the dollar value of each one of those sales is $100. That gives you an annual revenue of $96,000. Now, to increase the number of new leads by just 10%, let's say we increased it and to just 10 leads per month. The question now is, can we get you 1 new lead every 3 days? That's the question. How could we do that? Could we do that? What if we put in a referral system? What if we asked our current clients or your current customers to bring a friend with them the next time they actually visited your business? What if we developed a more sophisticated marketing advertising campaign by, let's say, writing better copy for your ads that you currently run? Remember, not all advertising is the same. There are different ways to come up with 1 new lead every 3 days. Here are some suggestions. You could simply increase your frequency and the number of advertisements that you use, reaching more than just 10% of your population. Now, the best way is always, though, the least costly way. And that is always going to be by using marketing strategies that are designed and tailor-made for your targeted customer. So you're not wasting advertising dollars on people who never intend to do business with you in the first place. This has to do more with the effectiveness of the advertising you are running and the ROI, the return on your investment, that they produce for you. And this can be achieved through various ways, like a direct response marketing campaign, or, like I said, writing better copy, the use of social media marketing, tracking your ads better to discover which ones bring you the greater return. Now, let's increase, let's say, those conversions. Instead of 2 for every 10 presentations, let's increase it by just 1 more person. I know you're saying just 1, just 1. That would increase your conversions from 2 for the year, for 2 for every 10 to 3 for every 10. So how can we do that? Could we offer them an irresistible offer? Is there something that they just could not absolutely refuse from you? Could you give them a bonus? Could you increase the value of the product or the service? Well, one of the simplest and least costly methods of increasing conversions is by simply following up with them more often and more creatively and more consistently, especially your prospects. Most sales processes we know end by the third touch. They people just stop calling them back. They stop reaching out to them. Well, they simply forget. But we also know that research has proven to us that most substantial sales are converted by the fifth, the sixth, or even the seventh touch point. We also know that a touch has to happen initially after about 5 to 10 minutes after that prospect has contacted you. So with that understanding, it would be beneficial to maintain a system that managed that for you and secured your presence in that prospect's life as a buying viable source. A system designed to help you maintain and remain that person's ideal supplier. And, one that's dependable and consistent. I guarantee you, any one of you should easily be able to convert one more customer, especially if you know that your prospect is an ideal client for your product or your service. Now, the third area on the annual number of sales, how do we get more customers to buy from you? That's a great question. Well, let's try to just increase it by just one. So instead of 4 times a year they buy from you, let's get them to buy from you just one more time. Well, how can we do that? Well, most people have birthdays, right? So if you already did something like celebrate their birthday, how about sending them a half birthday? I mean, a half a year. Instead of them being turning 50, you send them a birthday card halfway through the year with a 50% off. That's celebrating that they're halfway getting where they're going. That means a lot to people. How could you get them to shop with you just one more time this year? There are many different ways to do it. And again, this is where strategic marketing comes in. Regardless of what type of business you're in, this is still relevant strategy. How can you get more people to shop with you more often? Create something like a long-term service agreement with them. Remember, we're only looking to expand this aspect of your business by just 10%. So we don't have to stress out about how to get every customer to increase their buying with you. Only 1 out of 10. I think that's pretty great. Now, this fourth area, to increase the total number of each transaction per customer, the question now becomes, how do I get customers to increase or buy with a value of increase of their purchase with my business? And when it comes to increasing your prices, let's say by 10%, in this case would have been $10, I lowered it to $5 to even show you how it's still very significant. Because a $10 markup on a larger item is not as difficult for a consumer as a smaller incremental markup. But that small incremental markup will have just as much of an impact on your bottom line. Now, let's look at the fast food industry for an example. They've mastered this with the would you like a combo with that meal, right? They make the bulk of their money off of add-ons, not the main item you're there for. They've mastered bundling things together and cross-selling, upselling, or back-end selling. A fifth strategy that I really love to work with my clients on is developing a white glove service where you increase the value of not just the item, but the actual customer themselves. The airline industry is a perfect example. How much money do you think it took on the front end for them to re-engineer their fuselages, their planes, by repositioning their seating, purchasing more seating over the course of the lifetime of that campaign to create a first class section? Well, we know that whatever they spent on the front end has only merely compared to the millions and millions of dollars that they've made in profits by creating a status level of premium customer. Those are ways that you can improve and increase the amount of the transaction that you're actually asking your customers or your clients to pay. Now, what about your business? What is it about your business that you could actually do to acquire new leads? What would you be willing to spend to get a new client? That has to do with the lifetime value of a client. I help my clients understand that as well. Because the higher you understand the lifetime value of a client, the more realistic you can understand how to strategize a marketing campaign to reach them. And of course, what would it take to add additional packages together for your customers to purchase from you? Or for you to add a perceived elevated value like the airline industry, to a product that distinguishes it out as a white glove service or perk. So it becomes clear now that with a current revenue of $96,000 based on the numbers that we used here, and then we can see that we want to also improve our numbers by $111,900. Well, guess what? Now we see that our results will be $207,900. That is more than doubling your actual revenue. Now I tell you, that's pretty impressive. That's more than doubling what it is you had this year. So let me ask you a question. Does this make sense to you so far? I mean, really. So far, we've discussed 2 of the 3 secrets that I promised you. Secret number 1, focus on the profits. Secret number 2, use the growth multiplier effect. And now, secret number 3. Secret number 3 is to track, review, adjust, and repeat. The idea is that whatever you're doing in your business, it's necessary to track and follow to see just how effective it is. The marketplace is always fluctuating, and a good marketer realizes that. So because nothing will ever be perfect, it's important to always be optimizing the products you're presenting to your customers. As I said, the economy is always changing. And a good advertiser is someone who is a good copywriter and researcher, someone who is able to realize that what they're producing for their clients is always subject to revision as the market dictates. As the late Claude Hopkins said in his book, Scientific Advertising, marketing is not a lazy man's game. It's work, a lot of work. Everything must be tracked and reviewed and compared to what works and what doesn't work. The genius of today is understanding the algorithms and the technology that's available to help you do it on a larger scale, on a more sophisticated level with more accurate outcomes. Track everything. Track your emails, your client responses. If you do direct mailing or Facebook advertising, track that too. Use the data that you've compiled to strategize your next campaign, increasing your return on your investment and lowering your cost of acquisition. Everything on your ad can and needs to be tracked to truly discover what is actually making you money or losing you money. Now, so that we've established that it's actually possible with the strategies I've shared with you today, are you ready to move to the next level in increasing your business's profits and growth? Great. If so, simply click the red button to schedule your free strategy session now. And don't miss your chance to download your free business guide, 4 simple ways to increase your profits and secure business growth. Well, I know we've got a lot to take away from this today, and I look forward to the next opportunity we have to help you by sharing more insights and strategies and profit sharing ideas to do what I'm really passionate about. And that's going where others can't, to get you what you want, the money. The money to have the time and the freedom and the leisure to enjoy the life that you have. Until then, keep facing forward with fierce financial focus.